Alright guys, welcome back. Right now we can preview the errors from our client, but what we want to do is communicate with our Lavo API and actually get errors from our server in case the user's email and password were not correct. So I'm going to go ahead to our login component, and what we're going to do is, after the validation for the handle form submit function, we are going to post the data to the server. Now we're going to use Axios, and I'm going to show you how and why. In our bootstrap.js file, what Lavo does for us by default is sets window.axios to be the Axios package, so we can just use it. Okay, so I'm gonna head over back to our login.js, and what we're gonna do right now is just do an axios.post, and the login route is where we are going to, and the data we are sending to the server is this.state. Okay, and once this is completed, this is a promise, so we can have .then, and we're going to do a response. So we're going to console.log the response right here. And in case there are any errors, we're going to use the .catch block, and we're going to get the error. And right now we're just going to console.log the error. Okay, so make a post request to the login route with this.state, and then if there's a successful response, console.log it, and then if there's an error, console.error it. Okay, now we are trying to communicate to our Lavo API, but we don't yet have environment variables set up correctly. So we need a database connection. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to use a SQLite connection. So I'm going to pull all of this up, and I'm going to use SQLite. And for that, I'm going to touch database/database.sqlite. Okay, so right now if I go to my directory structure and we go to the database directory, there we go. I have my database.sqlite file right there. So I'm just going to run php artisan migrate, and right now we have our migrated tables. So we have users and password resets migrated. So we are going to make that API post request, and as soon as we make that request, we're going to see the errors or the response in our console. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this out in our browser. I'm just going to pass in some valid credentials right here. So a valid email and a valid password, and then I'm going to hit login. And right now, look at what we get. We have request failed with status 422. So if we go ahead and check out this request, you can see that we have a message that says the given data was invalid, and we also have an errors object that contains the errors, and we have these credentials do not match our records, right? Because this user obviously does not exist in the database, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to console.log error.response. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that is. And I'm going to refresh the browser, and then I'm going to head over to my console, and then I'm going to pass in the email, and I'm also going to pass in the password, and I'm going to hit login. And right now you can see we have this error object right here that says data, and inside data we have errors, and then we have email, right? So what we are going to do is, if we have any errors, we're going to do this.setState. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set the errors on the state to be error.response.data.errors, like this. Okay, so that we access this specific key right here, and the expectation is that you can see it's in exactly the same format as our errors array on our state. So the email is just going to be set right there, and we expect to see these credentials do not match our records right under the email section. Okay, so let's refresh right now, and we're going to fill in this field. So bytecoder@gmail.com, we're just going to pass in password, and I'm going to hit login. And right now you can see we have the 422 unprocessable entity, and we have these credentials do not match our records, and this error right here is a server error. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, real perfect sense, and everything is working as expected. Okay, so finally in this video, let's go ahead and decide what we want to do when the user successfully logs in. Now, for now, we're going to simply redirect the user to a different location. So window.location is going to be equal to the home page. So we'll just redirect the user to the home page. Okay, now I'm going to come back right here. I'm going to go to the register route, and I'm going to register a new account. So I'm just going to pass in my name, my email, and the password is going to be password password, and I'm gonna click on register. Alright, so looks like it successfully logged in the user. So right now, just so that I want a user that's not logged in, I'm just gonna open an incognito browser, and then I'm just gonna go to badrecipestest/login. Alright, so we have our login form. So I'm gonna pass in badcoder@gmail.com, and I'm gonna pass in the password. Now that we know that this user is registered, it should actually redirect us to the home page, right? So I'll click on login, and right now we have the redirect after the successful login. So that's great. Everything is working as expected. The user is successfully logged in. Okay, so in this video we made a post request with Axios to the login endpoint, and once we receive that response from the server, if everything was successful, then we redirect the user to the home page, and everything would only be successful if the user was successfully logged in, right? And if there were any errors like validation errors, then we're going to set the state to those errors, and then these errors are going to automatically be displayed on our login form. But then if there were no errors, we redirect the user to the home page. Okay, so I think that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'm gonna see you in the very next lesson.